Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lance McHan Show. My guest today is Pedro McDougall with Premier Community Credit Union, and he is also a pro bass angler who recently won a tournament recently, a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to be talking about a little bit of the credit world and fishing. So, Pedro, thank you for coming to the show, and so let's talk a little bit about the credit union and what you do for sports enthusiasts, anglers, and I'm stumbling here.
No problem. Well, thank you for having me, Lance. I really appreciate it. You having me as a reoccurring guest.
I love you having on my show, man. It's always a good time.
As before, I'm the vice president of the Premier Community Credit Union, located here in Stockton. We're a San Joaquin credit union that opened up to the public several years ago. So we're a community credit union.
Okay.
Our SEG used to be the teachers. So we are the old teachers
schools
educational schools credit union.
Yes.
You've been a member for quite some time.
I've been a member.
Okay.
I have to be. My wife's a school teacher. I don't have a choice.
I like to call it. It's like a lost jewel. It's been existent since 1931.
Wow.
But as soon as you mention it to people, it's like the elusive Bigfoot. You hear about them, but you don't see them.
Right.
But it's a great credit union. I've been there going on my 5th year. My role there is basically finance, and we finance anything from a signature loan all the way to homes. Okay. We used to do commercial buildings, but we've kind of faded away from the commercial line of credit. So that's kind of what we are. We are your traditional credit union that's opened up to the community.
So you finance ATVs and boats, RVs, all that.
Yes, that's our specialty. Being here in the Stockton area and here on the Delta, that's a real big that lends well to the appetite that I look for in this area, to these demographics.
Summer is around the corner, so what's it take for somebody to come in and I would imagine you do bass boat, any kind of boat, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I do bass boats. That's actually what that's my preference.
Like you're a bass guy?
Yeah.
So what's it take to get a boat?
It just depends. It is application actually is going to be the standard process, but we blend anything from signature lines of credit to homes. With that said, it's going to be take your applications, the process of your regular mundane application process that you're going to do.
Verification of employment, credit history, all that stuff.
Right, but we are a little bit more not as stringent as other financial institutions, meaning we have policies and we have guidelines that we got to go by, but compensating factors play a big part in my world.
So give me an example of what that would look like.
Meaning great down payment.
Credit?
less than perfect credit, to be politically correct. Okay. Less than perfect credit, I will play ball with you. Okay. When you become a member with us, just understand the difference between a credit union and a bank. You are a member to the credit union, so you have a voice.
So you have a vote.
You have a
say
Absolutely.
And a vote. How about that?
Absolutely. So again, it's the same process as any other financial institution to get the financing that you're looking for.
Yeah, they just want to look at your ability to repay and payment history and all that good stuff.
That's correct. At the same time, we want to get somebody into something. We don't want to set them up to fail either. Yeah, that's really important.
That's important. Yeah, because I'm sure you were in the lending world back in 2005.
Boy, yeah. I do remember those days. So
many people were set up to fail. It's very sad. But so let's talk about your big win, Mr. Bass Angler.
Well, May 11th was a big day for me. I got a chance to fish with some of my idols that I've watched for many years.
That's pretty cool.
And to get a chance to go toe to toe with them and to take them. I guess I'm sure my smile and everything says it all.
I remember seeing that picture on Facebook. You were like,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was a great feeling. Great, we fished for that. We fished for that day.
Heck yeah. So tell me a little bit about the day leading up to it. Were you nervous? I mean, you've been fishing for a long time, but every time you're going into a championship tournament, what were you feeling like?
I feel all kind of different in this particular tournament, and not to go into any details, but
what do you mean? This show's about.
I mean, I don't want to go into any personal details. My son, my challenges last month. My son is also, he's 31 years old. He's also a pro angler. We would have actually competed against one another if he would have been capable. But he suffered a real bad auto accident, and it has him laid up right now. It's leading up to this particular tournament was kind of odd because that's my right hand. Even if we're competed against one another, that's my right hand. That's my go-to guy. And unfortunately, this round I didn't have him there. But the oddest thing is Friday when I left to take off to the lake that evening, I actually looked at my staff at Premier Community and I said, "I'm winning. I'm bringing back the trophy."
They're like, "You're crazy, Pedro.
I'm winning this one. I'm bringing this one home." And it actually was odd because I felt it. I felt it even when I dumped into the water at the lake. I felt. I can't even explain to you what I felt.
I just had
this feeling.
Yeah,
I had this feeling.
I know what you mean.
Nothing changed. My I practiced my loading in for that particular time of the year because, the style of fishing you have to adapt to that time of the season.
Right.
So everything from the setting up the boat to launching to taking off to my first fish. I wish I could.
I'm learning a lot here because
first cast, first fish. Believe it or not, first cast, first fish.
For me, it's like I was just load up and go. But for you, you're like, okay, I need this rod, I need this reel, I need my lucky lure.
Yeah, yeah. It's like any other trade. Each circumstance presents a different style. Mm-hmm. So it is like any other trade. You've been on the water with me.
Yeah.
So
I got my butt kicked. I caught a fish this big. He caught 4, like 5. We were like at 80, lost the count. He's like, "That's 8 for me. How many you got?" I got a minnow.
And it is. It's just like anything else. I always like to watch somebody in their zone, meaning what they're good at, what I call journey level.
True.
And just so you know, in the fishing world, everybody has a different style that they're strong at. It's called their strength. Go to your strengths. So I always
when you say style, you mean like particular species of fish or just a rig or a lure?
Yeah, I would refer it more to techniques. You got guys that are amazing topwater fishermen.
Okay.
You have guys that are amazing with plastics, jigs. So I mean, if I always tell people that if you want to get in more into the circuit and fishing tournaments, get into the medium-sized tournaments in the areas which, again, Stockton has a lot of good clubs that a person can get into.
Really?
To start fishing from novice to pros, and be a backseater to those guys and watch.
Just watch and learn.
Just watch and learn. It's like any other trade. Watch and learn.
There's really some truth to that. People don't realize that your brain actually mirrors those actions.
Absolutely. A lot of people seem to think that fishing is just, you throw the rod out and let it go.
That's what I thought until I went with you.
There is a technique to it. There's a very much technique, and you do get, it's not easy to take off every single tournament. And not say that I don't get, it handed to me every once in a while, okay? Because there's times that I just don't make the cut. But you're pretty consistent and you're pretty good when you can take off, and for 5 fish, you can always come back averaging between 12 to 25 up to 33 pounds.
Wow.
Because that's what California produces, and that's what the Delta produces.
So what'd you win? How many weight? What was your weight?
1872.
Dang.
18 pounds and 72 is what basically.
What was the net?
And that wasn't a real big bag, to be honest with you.
So what was second place? So give people perspective.
15.4, I believe it was. So I had it, by 2 pounds. It was pretty good.
That's a pretty good win.
It's interesting because in the tournament, what they do is they launch you off. It's between 100 and 200 boats at any given time. So what they do, they launch you off in what's called flights.
Okay.
And the first flight can be like 50 boats. You're gone. And you're waiting.
How long does it take when they go, how long does it take for you to get in the water with 50 boats?
Okay, well, every boat, just to give you a visual, every boat is on the water already. Okay. You pull numbers. Those numbers basically dictate whether you're going to be in the first flight, second flight, or third flight, depending on how big the show up is. 200 boats, you're going to have 3 to 4 flights.
Okay.
So first flight takes off at 6, you got to be back at 1:30 to full weigh-in. Second flight takes off at 6:15, you got to be back at 2. So, and that's kind of the way they do it to keep the flow going.
I got you. Okay? That makes sense.
So I was in this particular tournament second flight, and there was 3 flights.
Do you have a preference when you?
Depends on the time of the year.
You would think.
Depends on the time of the year and the body of water.
Okay.
Depends on the time of the year and the body of water.
I guess temperature plays a big role in that, because I would think that you'd always want to be the first one in front of the fish, but at 6 a.m. the temperature might not be active yet, so you might be in the wrong time.
Yeah, that's
some guy an hour later come in behind you and they're like, okay, now it's time to eat.
Right. No. Well, there is triggers. There is a lot of things that do play a part in bass fishing. Just recently, what I've done is I've actually really focused on the biology of the fish. So I've been meeting with a few biologists out of Berkeley and chatting with them on what their characteristics are. And I've been learning the different, the transitions from winter to spring to all those.
So learning their natural habits versus their bro science.
Correct. No, exactly. So I've had a big focus on that, which I think has made me a better angler. But yeah, you don't show up. You don't show up in the fall with a technique that's not going to produce.
Right.
So, and if you notice, I'm not going to talk about what technique. It's
like the secret sauce, right?
I'm not going to talk about what techniques produce.
Yeah, but,
So yeah.
So you have I guess we probably can't. Can we talk about your sponsors?
We could talk about Premier.
Okay. They're a sponsor.
We could talk. Yeah, they're a sponsor of mine. We could talk about Premier.
Well,
I got a couple of the sponsors that we could talk about as well. But
well, this is your show, man. I'm just here for the ride.
Premier being the main sponsor of mine is
it's pretty cool.
What do you want to know about the sponsorship? What is it?
The sky's the limit. So how do you talk them into? Did you say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do"? You go to the board.
Okay, so
or do you go to the members? So I have a vote here.
So let me say. So let me tell you. Let me talk to you a little bit about that right there, because that's really up and coming, and I get a lot of young guys that come up and talk to me and say, "Hey, how do I pick up sponsors? How do I do this? How do I do that?" So the game has changed. Fishing is just not like I mentioned, throw your pole in the water. The game has changed. It's become what I refer to as urban.
Okay.
You get guys, I compete with guys that come from China. I competed with guys that came from Brazil.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
so it's just not that cookie cutter,
good old
boy mentality. So what getting into an industry, and I think this doesn't apply to fishing, I think that in sponsorships in general.
Right.
I think that the industry and media, it plays a big part in how sponsorships are taking place now. Meaning that you can be a pro. Okay. But I know a lot of pros at what they do that are horrible speakers. So they can't be good MCs. Okay. Right. So you can be a pro, but also you can be what I consider a TV image, somebody that's real good.
An influencer.
An influencer. They know the business, they know it, but they don't actually do it. Meaning, like a good example is the gentleman I meet with in Berkeley. One of his first statements to me was, you could catch the fish, but you don't know the fish as good as I do.
Absolutely.
He says, you outfish me, but you don't know what they're doing. You won't be able to, you have to find them, but I know where to find them. You know?
You're like,
and that guy is a heavy influence.
where do you want to go eat?
That guy is a heavy influence to me because
he understands their
he
nature.
Understands that, but he's not a pro.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And
he's
he probably couldn't catch fish very well at all.
Correct.
It's not his thing.
Correct. So it's just stuff like that. I mean, and that's what I say. When you want to get into the sponsorship, you know, figure out what category you want to do. Figure out, you know, what is it you want to be a sponsor? How do you want? You know, do you want to be an angler? Do you want to get into the media side of it? You know, what do you want out of your sponsorship? So I think that's the first key to ask. And then once you do that, the reality is if you're going to go on the pro side, sit back. I've been fishing for almost 30 years, and this is one of my biggest wins I've ever had. You know?
I love it.
So it takes a bit. You got to pay your dues. But I truly believe that a person can come up and get sponsors and become a figure in an industry without having to be a subject matter expert in the actual performance of it. Does that make sense?
Kind of, in a Pedro kind of way.
Okay.
But let's dive into what you were saying about becoming more urban, and it's not so much a good old boy sport anymore. What are you seeing in the industry?
I see a set of boats on one side, playing some Travis Tritt, and then I can swing over clearly on the other side and see another boat playing some 50 Cent.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? I can swing over to another boat over here from Mexico, and they're playing, you know, their music. Mm-hmm. What I mean by urban is it's become an open market,
right?
And it's just not so pinned into one area.
Okay.
For lack of better
so it's more inclusive.
Very, very.
Because you said you were competing against guys from Japan or China.
Yes.
That's like blows my mind. I wouldn't in Brazil. You said so. Yes. That blows my mind that people would come here just to compete in a tournament.
Yeah, this September 27th, 28th, and 29th is a 3-day run this year.
Where's that one going to be at?
That's going to be in Bethel Island here on the Delta.
Okay.
Brentwood.
Okay.
That's where it's at. A lot of them are hosted out of there, and you'll see people come in from all over.
Wow.
And they'll come in trailers, as I mentioned to you when we were looking at certain areas. They'll come in with their trailers, with their trucks, and pretty much you name it, they're coming in.
Like NASCAR.
You got
it's
it.
It's like a whole NASCAR run for fishermen.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean by urban. It's just becoming everybody's, you know, becoming a part of which I think is a great cause. You know,
it's good family time, family event.
Absolutely.
I should get my kids out.
Yes, you should.
Well, when my son was younger, my buddy had a boat. We'd go out and fish, and I remember I had an ugly stick, and he caught a catfish, and he was probably 5 years old, and he was like, "Dad, I can't get it."
Those are great moments, man.
Yeah,
those are great moments.
Because I mean, the darn catfish was as long as my arm. He was just, you know, he's probably 4 or 5 pounder. I'm like, holy moly, you caught a good one, son.
Nice.
That was
those are great moments, and I think that's what fishing does for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what fishing does for me is moments like that. I live for moments like that.
It was the best. You know? I mean, I still remember that. I saw the picture of him trying to hold it up, and I'm, you know, holding it. You know. The fish is darn near bigger than he is, right? So
that's great.
He'd get tired of being on the boat. We'd go launch and we'd skip rocks for a little while. And you're like, "You ready?" He's like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Eat a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. So what else do you see happening this summer for the Delta?
Well, you know, besides the fishing, you know, you got a lot of events going on out there. I welcome people to come to Stockton. And see what it is and what it has to offer when it comes to the Delta itself. Big events take place that people are not aware of.
I had no idea.
It's another world out in that area, and then people that are not aware of. So, I mean, if somebody asks me all the time, I always push people to come to the San Joaquin County and check out our Delta, my beloved Delta.
Because it's not only good fishing, it's good wakeboarding.
Oh, it's amazing.
Skiing.
It's got great stuff, great food out there, amazing restaurants. just good family social time. It has a lot to offer.
I agree. Stockton's great.
Yeah.
We have a lot to offer, but we have such a bad rap. We need to fix that together.
That's, I have my reservations on that. And I don't want to get into the political part of it, but I have my reservations on that. I truly believe that there is an answer. To be real simplistic and dive in and dive right back out, I believe there is an answer. I believe that a lot of counties, not just San Joaquin County, have the answer to the challenges that we pose, because we're not the only ones that pose, homeless issues and those. But the reality is that whatever, and this is just my take. I'm not saying this is what it is. My take is whatever county comes up with that idea, I truly believe that the other counties will say, hey, you need to go to that county now because they figured out what to do. But if you notice, nobody's racing to want to do that.
No.
But there is an answer. But nobody wants
that answer.
Nobody wants to come up with that answer because those are the realities, you know? Right. We figure out what it is. Hey, go over there. They can help you out, So again, that's as much. I'll do that and I'll moonwalk my way right out of that question.
Well, I'll touch on that because I met a guy. He's a veteran. He was from Minnesota. They shipped him to California because we have the resources here. He didn't know anybody. He was homeless. Mm-hmm. I ended up housing him in one of my units. But the guy, he didn't know anybody. So the people that he was choosing to be his friends were stealing from him. And he had 6 people living in this 600 square foot apartment with him. I'm like, this is for you. It's not for them. You can't have these people here. And eventually I had to have him leave. I said, you need to go back home to your family.
But that right there, that's
I bought him a bus ticket back to Minnesota because I can't help you. Your family needs to help you.
Yeah. But that right there explains the need. I mean, look at that. Out of one, look how many popped out and had to come out of the woodwork. Yeah. And that's what I say, happens. It's a real sad situation, I look at it every day. Especially again, going back to the Delta, being on the waters, and as I'm, trolling and looking, I look up on my
port banks, or starboard
on the banks, and look at the people living, the people living in that stuff. It causes multiple issues. It causes the need. But it also then it becomes an environmental issue, absolutely.
Which I was just reading something right now that the E. coli, levels are
epidemics. It's become an epidemic if we're not careful.
They don't call it the dirty Delta for nothing.
I hear you on that.
So congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much.
If people want to find out how to get a loan, whether it be a mortgage for a house, a boat, RV, motorcycle, how do they find you?
Well, you can go online and look us up on pccu.org. We are a nonprofit, for-profit financial institution, so that ought to tell you a lot too. And just, again, pccu.org. Apply online for whatever you're looking for. Our turnaround time for approvals is 48 hours, or if you need something immediately, just show up to one of the branches. We have one in Lodi, one here in Stockton, and one in Manteca, and soon to be in Tracy really soon. And we have a couple other spots open up here, but I'm going to keep that under control because I don't want people to start asking, what it is and where we're going to. But we have a couple other locations here in Stockton coming as well.
Cool. Well, thank you for stopping by.
Lance, thank you so much.
Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon because we're going to be fishing here pretty soon. Maybe we'll do a video.
Anytime. We'd love to have you on the water.
Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you next week. And remember, yes, you can with Lance McHan.